Hi, I'm Elida.
And I'm Delara.
And together, we're the founders of Exhibits, a free mobile app we built from scratch, showcasing all of London's exhibitions, museums and galleries in one place.
Because it shouldn't be hard to find weekend plans in London. So, we've taken a break from coding to come and visit London's coolest venues this summer.
Join us as we explore the Foundling Museum.
Oh wow!
Why from my mom and you?
The Exhibit Sisters present Lost and Found. You're tuned in to Big E Radio. In today's news, the dynamic duo are investigating a story of the lost and the found, uncovering how a home for abandoned children became a place for hope, art, and a fresh start. We join them live on the scene.
This is one of a pair of engravings. So there's one called Beer Street, and in Beer Street everyone is drinking, beer, and they're healthy. They thought that was healthy and good for you. At the beginning of the 18th century, one of the problems was people were used to drinking beer, and when they brought gin out, it came from abroad, they weren't really used to the quantities. Okay. So they would drink, they would try and drink a pint of gin, which obviously is not good. Mm-hmm. But also it was really cheap. If you had a really tough life and you were really starving, drinking gin, it just made the problem go away. Yeah. Really no different to any other time. So what he's trying to tell you is all these terrible things that are happening because people are drinking gin. Mm-hmm. Here's someone in a barrel. They can't even stand up. This poor man, he's sharing a bone with a dog. Yeah. Because he's so hard up. So it was over exaggerating. And we didn't mention the central image is the woman can't even be bothered to look after a baby. Yep. Because she's just interested in gin. And the government did eventually try to get some laws set so they can make it more expensive, make it unaffordable.
So all of this isn't happening quite as much? Probably
not. Yeah. No, it's like a lot of things. They over-exaggerate it to make the problem seem, worse. But it is a scene. It's 7 Dials in Covent Garden. So it is an actual place. He's gone to an actual place. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hogarth hadn't seen some of these people around, but he's just put them all together.
Yeah. So the poverty and the lack of a healthy life, I think, is very apparent. And so that's very different from the London that we walk around in today. And so that's kind of where we start our story. And we're going to be learning a little bit more about the Foundling Museum and how they came in to help at least some of the children who would have been living like this. There was a really long petition before the Foundling Museum came into being. What was all of that about?
So Coram he'd been in America for a while. He'd come back to London. He did a lot of work on ships and everything, but he sort of arrived in about 1720 into London. The story is he saw a lot of children literally abandoned in the streets. He spent about 20 years trying to get support, because what he wanted support. He wasn't just interested in getting a house, putting the children in. What he wanted was a long-term solution, and that's why he wanted the support of the king, lords and dukes and earls and those sort of people. Because he wanted their money, but having their support was important. And then eventually the king agreed that they could have this royal charter, which we can see today. Do we want to open it?
Yes, please. Yes.
And there's the actual petition.
This is the actual petition?
That's the actual petition.
And this thing here?
And this is the seal. A great seal on anything gives it authority. I remember a couple of years ago, the late Queen Elizabeth came to Coram next door, and they did get it out and let her look at
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I wasn't there.
In 1741, the Foundling Hospital opened its doors to abandoned babies. In the beginning, it was first come, first served, but soon there wasn't enough space for every child in need, so admission was decided by a lottery. In the ballot system, mothers would draw coloured balls from a bag to decide their child's fate. A white ball meant absolute success. The child was accepted. A red ball meant the child was placed on the waiting list. If a white ball child later failed the medical, those on the red wait list would be reassessed for entry. A black ball, however, meant absolute rejection, no admission, and no chance to try again. For those accepted, a secret token was left with the child, a coin, a piece of fabric, even a button. These small objects were kept hidden in case a parent ever returned to claim their child. Today, these tokens help us remember each foundling's story. Every child admitted to the Foundling Hospital was recorded in a big book. On each page, the clerk wrote down the child's details, then tucked the token inside by folding the paper into a neat little packet. This book was hidden away, waiting in case a parent ever came back. To reclaim a child, a mother or father had to describe the exact token they'd left, and if it matched, the parcel was opened. In this way, the tokens became secret keys to unlock a child's identity and the chance of reunion.
It was meant to be anonymous, but actually sometimes the people that were leaving the children would write great details about their lives. And I think a lot of it was to try and explain why they had to leave the child. Mm-hmm. You know, there's notes of women whose husband has got some sort of mental breakdown. And there are some where they've gone out of business and they can't look after the child. So it's almost like they're saying, look, we haven't just abandoned them, you know, for no reason. There's a real reason, and we hope we'll come back.
Yeah.
A lot of them say they hope they'll come back. So this one's quite an interesting one, because this little fish is actually a gambling token. It's a little bone fish. And if you read Jane Austen, I don't know if you're a Jane Austen fan, but in Pride and Prejudice, Lydia is playing cards, and they use fish for, instead of money, they have little fish.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of fish they would have had.
Wow. And is it called a bonefish because it's made from bone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my favourites is probably this little ring. So it's a little ruby ring. Interestingly, now I said everything was kept secret in the envelope. This one actually got reported in a magazine. Someone had actually reported that a child had been left with a ruby ring. Now we don't know how they did that, because it should have been completely secret. And I think what they were doing, they were more or less. There'd been a sort of jokey piece in one of the newspapers about the rich people using the hospital just to deposit their illegitimate children. And obviously, items like this show that they weren't all poor. I think what it actually shows is people were leaving their most precious thing with their most precious thing.
During its 2 centuries in operation, the Foundling Hospital looked after a remarkable 25,000 children. When admitted, each child was given a brand new identity. Their old clothes were taken away, replaced with the simple hospital uniform, and their names were changed. From the age of 6, children were expected to work. Boys, often in the gardens or weaving, girls in domestic chores, and all learned to knit and darn to keep a neat appearance. Education was basic. Reading, mainly so they could read the Bible, and some boys learned skills such as shoemaking and tailoring. Most children remained here until they were 14, when they were apprenticed to learn a trade, though some stayed on as servants or because they could not live independently due to physical or mental disabilities. Beyond its care for children, the hospital became a centre of culture. Artists like William Hogarth and the famous German composer Handel transformed it into London's first public art gallery and a fashionable venue for concerts, creating a buzz around the venue and attracting wealthy people who could support Corum's charitable work. After hundreds of years of care, the last child left to be fostered in 1954, but the children's charity Corum continues its work even today. The museum, opened in 2004, was built on the original hospital site and invites us to step inside these stories and imagine the lives once lived here.
Wait. I need to hold the gimbal off Andrew. Oh, fine. Okay,
Heavy.
there's Andrew.
And that's a wrap.
Everybody! Nice.
Join the duo for their grand finale, a spectacle of spectacles.